Welcome everyone to Expanding Your Consciousness. And tonight the topic is the tarot. And we picked this because over the last few weeks we have done some meetups about images. And so I thought I'd really like to continue with the idea of images, but I picked the tarot because it's also about symbolism. And so we have quite a number of people here that use tarot cards, and I have used them myself, but I kind of moved away from them recently. But I thought with tonight that I refresh my memory on the tarot. And one deck that I would use quite often was the Medicine Woman deck. But tonight I will be showing some images from the Rider Waite deck. We also have two new visitors to our group, and that's Daisy and Alexandria. So I will be, asking them for, some of their inputs. Alexandria is quite experienced using the tarot, and Daisy as well. Another reason with symbolism is our symbols do have an impact on our subconscious mind. And in fact, our whole world, this energy field, has a lot of symbolism in it. So what's interesting about the tarot, because we are energy beings and we're in an energy field, and even the tarot symbols are a form of energy, whatever state our energy field is in, that's why we attract certain cards to us. So I'm going to ask Alexandria to just, maybe expand on that a little more, because Alexandria has been using the tarot for some time. Alexandria, did you want to add something to my comment?
Yes, thank you, Diane. So pleasure to be with everybody here again this evening. So yes, as I was saying to Diane earlier, I really believe that the baseline of our experience here on this plane of existence is that we're all spiritual beings really having a human experience, and not the other way around. And our subconscious field has very interesting, subtle ways of communicating to us and getting messages across to us. So the tarot is a particularly, I would say, direct and very valuable method of doing so, of being able to work with our inner beings, our higher beings, as well as the energies which are surrounding us and affecting our day-to-day, our life experiences. So for me, I'm also quite well versed in Jungian psychology, so in the Jungian pathways. And Jung spoke very greatly of archetypes. So archetypes which are more major compendiums of various elements of symbology, I could put it like that. So I'll draw an example. One of my favorite cards actually in the deck is the Death card. And I'm a Scorpio, and Scorpio, this is the card of our sign. This is what corresponds with the zodiac of Scorpio, which is the Death, which is key number 13 in the major arcana. So for example, if one draws Death, usually many people have fear or a lot of intrepidation when that comes up. It's very, very scaring for most. But if you delve a little bit deeper into perhaps not the gross manifestation of death as one would understand it on a waking level, but rather the archetype of that, or what even death may symbolize. Very rarely does the Death card symbolize a physical death or a perishing or calamity, but it usually means that it is time for something in one's life experience to fall away, something that isn't serving you anymore. That could be a certain mindset, that could be a belief system, a set of values, a job, a relationship, so on and so forth. And if we delve deeper into that symbology and that archetype, the Death card being directly correlated to the zodiac sign of Scorpio. Scorpio also has the symbol of the phoenix attached to it, which is the bird which rises from its ashes. So I could correlate the death card with transformation, major rebirth, a huge turnabout in one's journey on one's path, like this. So there's many depths on which you can go, while working with this very intelligent system. So you can read something on quite and take something on a face value, and this can give you one sort of set of meanings and correlations, and you could do a deeper dive if you're able to, and go deeper and deeper and deeper, and there's really no end to it. So that's what I would contribute to what you said, Diane.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, along with death, do you find
Yes.
often the person will draw something related to birth, like a renewal?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it can happen. Like, I maybe I there's a few specific cards that come to mind, but rather than talking about the cards, perhaps like when one draws, uh, there's definitely there's a lot of cards actually in both the minor and the major arcanas, which are directly correlated to a renewal, to new hope, to rebirth, and to a kind of like a transitioning of a new phase in life. So absolutely, endings, beginnings, middling periods, decay, block energy, flowing energy. It's really can all be found in there.
Okay. All
I
right.
do. I just wanted to intercept before I forgot what I was going to say related
Sure.
to what Alex said,
Yes.
that there is another card, and that was pertaining to the question you asked, that is similar to the death card, because that was your question. And that is, I think it was the 10 of Swords,
Yes.
where, right? Where that
Yes.
person is lying down on a bed, and it's like he's pierced with the swords. So that means that there's some ending of some situation, relationship, or anything in that person's life will come to a close or an end, and something new might come in place of it. You see? So there is that card. I think it is the 10 of Swords. I have to go back to the Rider deck and check it.
No, it is
Right.
the 10 of Swords. You're correct, Daisy. Bang on. Yes.
Thank you, Alexa. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to, before we continue on, I just want to get a sense from Kenny, Brent, and Faith. I think we'll start with Brent first. Just, kind of give us a bit of background. What deck do you use a deck, and do you use it often, and which one you use?
Well, I don't really use a deck. The one that I'm familiar with, though, to some extent, a little bit of an incident, is the Thoth deck, because I'm attracted to the images, and I'm attracted to how beautiful the cards are, and they're better mirrors to me than the other ones. I probably have a different take on what the tarot is. I see it as like a bunch of mirrors, and you can look at those cards, and you can get a feeling that relates to the card. Like if it's the death card or whatever card it is, lust or any of those cards, you look at them and something happens. And if that's an issue for you, if you're dealing with that, then I think that is a really good reflection at that moment. You may not even realize until you look at a card that you're going through something and that's related to the card. But I think the cards are really mirrors, and I think all of them together pretty much cover most, many of the aspects of human existence, if not pretty much all of them. So wherever you are at any given moment, you just go through the deck, look at the pictures, and maybe there'll be one there that stimulates you. That to me is the way I would do it. If I had a deck and I was using the cards, I would do it that way. I wouldn't necessarily just pick 7 or 8 cards or at random or whatever, and then look at them and assume that there's a message for me in those cards. I'm not sure I really believe that there's any power really in the cards themselves. I think the power is in us and in our consciousness, and whatever we see that is reflected back to us, that we say, oh yeah, that's an issue in my life right now. Relationships, that is a big issue in my life. that's the way like I would see it. And you could look at all the cards every day, or you could look at some of the cards, once a week, or I mean, it doesn't make any difference. And I don't think you would pick up a deck unless there was something going on inside you in the first place that you were attracted to just seeing what mirror was pertinent today.
Because there are some people that are not even drawn to things like using the tarot cards or even going to a psychic. Like some people are just, that's not their path. It's just something they're not drawn to. So, but, some of us, we do appreciate, the symbols and the messages that we get from it. And it could be very individual, right? Like you said, whatever the situation is. Kenny, did you want to comment?
Let me unmute myself here.
Okay.
I've had only a small amount of experience with tarot cards. I used to be a member of a European mystic school, and then they looked at tarot cards every once in a while as works of art that expressed certain events in people's lives. And I thought that was fascinating. And one of the philosophers that I respected most wrote a little tiny book on the tarot deck, and he only covered the pictured ones, the archetypes, and not all the numbers and things. So I read that and thought, this is fascinating. I became quite interested, but not interested in doing all the work it required to learn it. So then a few years later, I had to leave that spiritual school and join another one. And this person was a tarot reader, she was actually a shaman. So she knew a lot, and she had demonstrated her talent to me. So her tradition was that on our birthday, we'd get a tarot reading. So each birthday for a couple of years, I got one. And she used a shamanic deck using the symbols of the Toltec, the Mexicans and Incas and Aztecs and stuff. But it was the same deck. It's just different drawings. And I had a lot of respect for her too. But again, I found no correlation between reality, or the reality that I was experiencing, and the tarot deck. So that's what I continually look for, that there's something there that is consistent. And so far, it's not really been consistent for me. So I'm quite interested in tonight to see if what am I missing?
All right. And Faith, did you want to comment?
I've been doing the tarot for years, but I don't fully understand what they all mean or how to interpret it. That's the problem. I need to do a proper course or something on how to interpret them. I like Doreen Virtue's cards. I have Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. That's my favorite one. That one is 44 cards. And then she has the Angel Tarot cards version of the original Rider-Waite. It's a 78 card deck. It's called Angel Tarot cards. And then I have Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. That's a different one. It's not Doreen Virtue. And I have a couple more by her. But yeah, I just find them more gentle than the Rider-Waite.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to learn more about them, how to, yeah. Okay. So you do a reading, you do a spread, whatever, and then you read, the booklet, what they mean, how to interpret it, what the cards mean, the meaning of them. But sometimes it can get a bit confusing and hard to interpret.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you, Faith. Fred, did you want to just tell us why you're interested in this topic tonight, and do you use the tarot?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I was just playing with all the, I hadn't done Zoom on my phone before.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So I had used the tarot 50 years ago, maybe for a while, and I kind of dip into it and dip out of it.
Okay.
And I just have some things occurring right now, so I figured I wanted to investigate the tarot a little, again,
Okay.
and kind of use it. I ordered a deck. Most of the decks I see don't do much for me. I used to use the Rider-Waite deck with the case book,
Okay.
and people I knew, were all involved in that. But I ordered another deck that I saw that looked pretty good to me, because the Rider-Waite, I don't like the energy in it,
Okay.
but I ordered the Nefertiri deck. It's Egyptian.
Oh, okay.
It's very beautiful, at least what I've seen of the pictures of it. So,
Yes, a lot of people like to collect the different decks, right? Because they really like the images.
right,
Very
right.
artistic.
So I got it because it's more of there's the basic meaning of the card, but sometimes it's more the meaning that the card has that I feel from it more than what the book says.
Yes.
So the visual is important to kind of take me there.
And we just had someone on an iPhone. I'm not sure if that's Kelly. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, is that Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay. So I should let the group know Kelly's my niece, and Kelly is blind. But I asked her, even if we're showing cards tonight and describing them, we'll do our best to describe them to her. But I also want her to just give us a sense of how she felt about certain cards. So she'll be doing that tonight. Okay. So the first card, just so you know, as I mentioned at the start, Dave and I each pulled the card, and mine was from the Rider deck. And it's the Wands, and it's the Two of Wands. And most often the Two of Wands cards means courage and daring, and it has the message of striking out on a journey or new path. So I'm going to just show you the card, and I would appreciate people's feedback on it too as we do this. Can everyone see this card?
Yep.
There we go. So I want to just describe it also to Kelly. First of all, Kelly, the image is of the Rider-Waite deck, and it shows us a wealthy merchant or noble looking out at his territory, or perhaps for his ships that have set sail. He holds the world in his hands, symbolizing power. The time is right to be bold and creative. If you are in a moment of doubt, this card tells you to make your move. You have the power in your hands. Now is the time to find courage to use it. So any feelings about it, Kelly? Does anyone else want to give any comments? Daisy, Alexandria, anyone else?
Yes, I can interject. To me, I think wands represent creativity and enterprise. In this particular card, there's two wands. So I also feel like maybe it means contemplation and deep thought as to the next step in his enterprise or his venture, maybe, and what he's thinking to do next and what he's thinking to accomplish. So I think I don't know if the world is his oyster, as shown with him holding the ball, the globe.
Yes.
So that could be one interpretation of it, that he's contemplating his next move in his business or his empire or enterprise, and he's got maybe different options at his fingertips. So yeah, so I think that's kind of what my reading is on that card. Thank you. Or vision.
Okay, thank you, JC.
I would say that it symbolizes like power and creativity, definitely.
Okay.
And I would also say maybe it symbolizes that like a bit of selfishness too, maybe.
Why do you say that, Kelly?
Well, because it's about power for him or for her kind of thing.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hey, Dee Dee, it's Bob.
Okay, Bob.
Right, so
Thank
the
you for
wands,
joining.
oh, no problem. So to me, the wands, they represent something mystical, something exciting. It can make you think of like childhood or Harry Potter, whether it's mythical, real, but it's something that can take you somewhere. Hello, Booker. Sorry, my dog just jumped up on the couch here and snuggled up with me.
Okay.
Um,
Stay
but
focused on this, Bob, because we have, quite a group tonight. Okay.
yeah, but
Okay.
then the thing about like having the world in your hand and whatever, yeah, it symbolizes power, but I don't necessarily see it as a selfish thing. To me, it could be that we have the power to make our own life, our own destiny, whether it's the right choice or wrong choice, but we still have that power to choose what happens.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Does anyone else have comments?
Yeah, I see it as he's going, like he's holding the world in his hands. He's contemplating moving out into the world, and he's coming from a position of strength. He's in his castle overlooking his lands, and yeah, he I think, yeah, he's going to go out into the world, and it's a good omen. And you said it represents strength and courage, so you would need that. It would be good assets to have as you go out into it. But I think he's contemplating an adventure or a move, and it's going out into the world from a position of strength, a good position,
Yes.
Looks to me like he's recently had a strong desire arise into his consciousness to start moving. And so he's following that because that's what he has to do. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I look at the two wands, and I think what's interesting is one is anchored to the ground, and it's lower than the other one. So his left hand's on a higher one, even though it's, on top of something, right? Something concrete, something, strong, sturdy. And yeah, it is as if it's a move forward, right? But a very stable move forward. And he's not really looking at the globe in his hand. He's looking out, beyond, almost as if he's looking beyond the world itself. So Alexandria, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you. So for the Rider-Waite in particular, I would say everybody's intuition is quite good and quite sharp. For me, I will just turn on my video. For me, Two of Wands is really one of my favorite cards. And the meaning is captured more beautifully for me in the Thoth. So this is the Two of Wands in this Thoth deck, which is the deck of Aleister Crowley. And in this deck, it's the Two of Wands, it's the Lord of Dominion.
Ah, okay.
So the thing about the Thoth deck is that with the Rider-Waite, what you drew from today, this shows you kind of like a pictorial explanation, like a situation, the placement of a person, what is their experiences, what's before them in a tangible way, yeah, illustration, so it's sort of like a Pictionary. With the Thoth, it will show you not that, it will show you more of the energy underlying, yeah? So with this for me is the energy of, like, for me, it's kind of like you can see that there's the cross, there's the big X, but also if you look more closely, it's kind of like a star formation as well. So this is a little bit more abstract, you could say. It plays with your psyche a little bit more deeply. For me, the meaning of this card really is, first we have the Ace of Wands, and the Wands is representative of the fire element, or creativity, passion, enthusiasm. And the wand, of course, is very important in the magical elements. Yeah, that's manifestation. That's like abracadabra. So
Yes,
you can look at that.
exactly what Bob kind of said. Yeah, he was saying Harry Potter kind of thing.
Yes, there you go. Exactly, exactly. Yes. So you have the spark from the Ace of Wands, which is fresh, untamed, uninhibited, boundless fire energy. So it's like I have a spark of creativity. I have this energy in me. I have something that I want to share, that I want to do. I have a renewed drive, a passion that I want to put out there. Then we come from that to the Second of Wands, because with fire, right, the closer we are to the ground, the more solid we are. The further away up in the numbers we go, the more elevated the energy goes. Yeah. So the second is kind of like, I like to think of in the Rider-Waite, kind of like he's on a mystical launch pad, like you said, Diane, with one wand in the ground and one kind of lifted up, looking ahead, not looking at the things that he's holding or even the wands, but really looking ahead. So it's like, okay, I have this flame come up in me. Now I'm learning to hold it. Now I held it. I have a good idea of what it is. I have my foot in the ground, but kind of I'm looking forward. I'm aiming forward. I'm finding my target, and I'm trying to find and contemplate the best way to strike forth. So this for me is really the spirit of this card. Yeah.
I think that's what Brent was talking about too, having a high, this higher drawing a consciousness, a change in consciousness, or something at a higher level that he has to do.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's very well encapsulated, because
so,
Brent also uses the thoughts. So yeah.
And how I'm a Jungian also, not very studious, but it certainly gives a lot of depth to the tarot in that there's synchronicity, and it's the underlying archetypes are common to all of our existence, and our inborn knowledge in our collective subconscious, that it comes out. This helps us put us in touch with these factors that help inform our lives. And I think, I don't know, Diane, how's that? Does that sync up with what's going on in your life now? I'm interested to see if you think, oh yeah, this is, is it resonating with you, and at what you're, what are you getting from it?
It does, actually, because I had a meeting with a friend yesterday who really wanted me to join forces with him. But what he is, like, the type of thing he's into isn't something that I totally buy into, right? So I just basically said, this is how I see the world, and this is how I see what I see me doing in the world. And so, I think drawing that card actually reinforced that in me, right? Just that I kind of know what I want, or I do know what I want, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and then it's Bob here, Dee Dee, and with the description of looking out over something, but then like that wall or that block of solid object there and your hand on it, it could also represent that you want something that's out there, but something is blocking your way, and you're trying to move something to get to that object, that desired feeling, that location, whatever, but something just blocking your way to actually reach your goal. So it could also be a sense of longing, but trying to figure out how to get there because something's just stopping you.
Okay. I just wanted to say that Daisy is just leaving because she is quite tired. But I want to thank her for joining us tonight. Thank you, Bob, for your comments. That is, something to consider too, because he is, it looks like he's, looking out from, say, a castle or something like that, right? And looking out. So is he kind of stuck there? It's hard to say. Right?
I like it. I like it because he's been. It's like Alexander said, like a spark or something came into him, and I see that as desire. And it's always like it may propel us outwardly or to go someplace outwardly, but it's always coming from within us. And we take that source with us wherever we go. So it's always, the spark is always happening within us. And I'm wondering if another level of the wands is like turning your attention inwardly when you feel that spark. Yeah, I'm just thinking that maybe one of the wands is more about self-reflection than it is about looking outwardly and moving outwardly.
Mhm. Yes. Kenny?
My old teacher, Mervyn, used to be really good at observing art in a spiritual way. So let me have a shot at this, because what it looks like to me is a wealthy adventurer. In those days, they used to send ships out, trading ships, and then they would hope they'd send them out, and a year later they'd come back, and they hoped they were all going to be rich. So it seems to me that this guy has done that. He's sent it out somewhere in the world. Here's his symbolic map of the world he's holding in his hand. And he's having that moment of wonder. Will they come back? Where have they gone? What have they done? Have I made money? Have I lost? So to me, it rings a bell of faith that this guy has done it all. He's put the ship together, he's sent it out there, and now he's waiting patiently for whatever the result is. So that's what's in, as he gazes at the horizon, he wonders, and his mind is full of mystery and stuff. And I thought some of your observations were really good, but I will observe this. Some of those observations come from something other than this card. They come from a knowledge of the deck and other symbolism and Jung and things like that. And I don't know much about that. But what I'm going to try to do, to add my 2 cents worth, is to just look at the card only. And I don't know what wands symbolize, but there's 2 staffs or sticks or something there.
Yes.
I imagine they have some sort of meaning. They each have 3 little leaves on them. So I don't know what the number 3 means in some. Maybe that's what comes after 2. That's
Yeah.
my take on this beautiful card.
Interesting, isn't it? How each of us could give our take on the card, and it might be slightly different, each
Yep.
one of us. So what the card looks like is an interpretation of a reflection of us, isn't
Of
it?
us, yeah, yeah. It's probing into our minds. So
Okay.
this one, in that time in Europe, they would live a good life. We're going to obey all the commandments and do all the rituals of the church. Will we go to heaven? Oh, will we? And then we have to have that moment of faith that our ship will come in. Here's hoping your ship comes in, Di.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, I like you can see that too,
That
right?
ship
Yeah,
comes in, yeah.
he's got the globe. Yeah, he's waiting. Yeah, I like that.
All right. Dave, you have one that you wanted to
Oh,
share, right?
yeah.
And then I think we'll do Brent after that.
Okay, are you going to bring it up?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So the Ace of Stones. So it's interesting. I drew this one because it certainly, is something I've been asking, a fair bit, concentrating on, meditating on, and just.
And can I just add, Dave, this is from the Medicine Woman.
Oh yeah, the Medicine Woman Inner Guidebook. It's a woman's guide to her unique powers. It's the first tarot deck I ever encountered. I went looking for a tarot deck, and I was in Digby, Nova Scotia, and there was a sign outside of Digby that was Zelda's Metaphysical Shop, and I went, "Oh God, I gotta go in. Maybe I'll find my deck in this shop." And so I'm looking at all the decks there, under a glass case, and I kept coming back to this one, but I went, "Oh, it's for women." It wasn't I'm kind of looking at the other ones, but I didn't realize it, but I stepped back and my head hit a gong as I stepped back. So I took that as a sign that this was as I was looking at this deck, I kind of looked back like this and my head hit a gong and I went, oh, okay. That's the sign. That's my deck. And I've really enjoyed this deck for years. And so, and I've just been asking for well, to put it crudely, I've been asking for money. I'd like to be able to actually, I won't go into that. I'll just leave it at that, okay? So it's interesting that this would come up because in this deck, the Ace of Stones is it represents seed of prosperity. And it says, it offers a prayer. It says, Great Spirit, I accept your offering. I am thankful for these material gifts you placed before me so abundantly. Mother Earth provides all that I need. The gifts of my ancestors lie within her arms. Your crystal of inspiration calls me to create from the wealth that surrounds me. It's saying, yeah, okay, it's a positive reinforcement, I guess, of what I've been asking for. And it goes into how you can engage with this idea. And I mean, look at the beautiful crystal coming down from heaven. All my ancestors are holding up this ladder that I'm climbing, going up towards that goal. And it says, if you are currently experiencing lack or burden in the material realm, do the following. Look at your possessions as you observe each one. Ask yourself, do I feel thankful for this? Immediately get rid of everything for which you are not thankful. Pass it on to someone who will be glad to receive it or give it back to Earth. Observe your feelings. Have they changed? Do you still need something? If not, the problem is solved. If you still need something, visualize the thing you desire. Imagine yourself through the whole cycle of appreciating the earthly elements from which it is made, seeing it carefully created, receiving it gladly, giving something you value in return for it, using it fully and returning it to Earth or passing it on. Relax, the seed has been planted and will grow. You have given it life. So it's very much in tune with how I feel about, possessions and having things that you need, you don't need, giving it back.
Yes.
And actually doing, some meditation and visualization and putting it out there and letting it go. And then
Dave, would you describe this card the best you could for Kelly and Bob?
oh, hi Bob. I didn't realize it was that Bob.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a person climbing up a ladder and it's leaning on rocks that have the faces of elders, I would think, in the rocks. So the idea is that the elders are, are manifest in the, or, in Mother Earth and are helping you up your ladder and from, like Providence, I guess, hands are coming down from the heavens and holding a beautiful crystal. And so, that is being bestowed on this person climbing up this ladder, supported by her ancestors. Was that?
Yes, that's very good. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share about this one? Thank you, Dave. You did a great job on this.
The first thing I saw when I looked at this was a bunch of people asleep and like something above that looked like it was supposed to be worth something, and somebody climbing the ladder to get to it. And once they get up there and get that material thing, then they're going to be entranced with it and they're going to fall down and they're going to join the ones that are sleeping beneath. because their fantasy on material wealth has shut their minds off. Now that's a really different way to interpret the picture, but that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it. So this is saying something about me and materialism, obviously.
Yeah, I feel similarly to materialism as well. I don't think it's the point. It's not happiness. And yeah, it's not the point of life. It won't get you happiness, but you still have to survive. You know, we are living in a material world, and
Yep.
you know, there's certain things we want to, you know, that you can't get around.
I think it'd be a really interesting experiment to pull one of the cards out of the deck that can be interpreted in different ways and have everybody look at that and then get their first impression of it or what it might mean. And then listen to what everybody would have to say about that. Because that would be what they're saying about themselves. And I think that would be an interesting experiment to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then we're kind of doing it now, aren't we?
Well,
Not exactly.
not
not
exactly.
exactly, because
We're
we're,
reading
you know,
about
you're getting an interpretation first, and that would,
Right.
you know, where if you looked at it first and then made up your mind and then we shared that.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah. I got you.
I got a card for that later.
Okay.
Bob has some. Yep.
Yeah, and then it's Bob here. And then with the description that you were giving, Dave, when you're talking about the ladder by the rocks and the elders looking out and everything, you know, and talking about how they're watching you ascend. From your description, I was thinking that exact same thing. And then you said like, oh, Dave was thinking or saying what I was thinking. But one of the other things too is that with rocks being uneven and over times they erode, they can crumble and everything else. So as much as they're watching you, they could be watching your success, or the rocks can erode. And because it's also uneven, you know, they can watch you slip and fall as well. So they can either help you or hinder you depending on the situation.
Well, Bob, just so you know, the elders, their eyes are closed. There's ones that might be slightly open. I think it's to show that they've passed on, right?
Okay.
And then so this person is a descendant of these people and is ascending, right? Is moving
Okay. Oh,
up.
okay. So maybe in a case like that, then if their eyes are closed and they passed on and you're ascending up, you're going
Or
through
sleeping,
time.
whatever way you want to
Yeah.
interpret it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they could be sleeping or they could be passed on, but you're ascending this ladder, then going through time and space, paying homage to your past or whatever, saying hello to former friends, family, whomever along the way. Someone that's been a part of your life some way, somehow.
Yeah. Yes. Anything else you'd like to add, Bob?
No, not right now. I'm not sure if I'm on the right track or not. It was just,
No, I mean,
Well,
you know,
that's-
whatever you
yeah,
interpret.
that's-
Yes. But you know, when I saw this, I thought of Dave's experience in Prague in 2017 with his ayahuasca.
I wasn't on ayahuasca.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's holotropic breath work. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
holotropic breath work. And we were at a workshop and 200 people there and 100 people doing the breath work while the other 100 were the sitters, right? Keeping an eye on their partner. Right? And at one point, and they it's a breathing technique by Stanislav Grof. And they also play all different types of music. So as through the breath work and through the music, it can take you into other states of consciousness. And at one point, Dave, who had been resting on the mat, all of a sudden stood up and he reached upward with his hand. And he said afterwards, a hand grabbed his hand. And it was like a telepathic message saying, we're here whenever you need us, right? And so when I saw this, I just thought of that incident right away.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna start breathing heavily.
Alexandria, do you have anything you'd like to add?
For me, I'll leave my knowledge of the meaning of the card out of it and just go by the image. So for me, what I see is someone, obviously he's scaling up the ladder towards this gem that's before him, that's above him. But the thing is that it's above him. It's not directly parallel from him. Even if he climbs right up to the top of the ladder, it might still be a little bit out of reach. There's no foothold for him to go up there to actually grab it. So here it's like he's not even ascended to the very top of the ladder. He is almost there. It's within sight, but it's not quite within the reach.
So
Good
is it a
point.
spiritual, is it a spiritual message then, like that that they should be focused more on a higher state of being rather than the material?
Correct. It could be, yes, because rather than that, one could see that, okay, what does that crystal inspire in me? What kind of passion does that invoke in me? What kind of feelings does it give me? What kind of hope does that give me? Because rather than like, I think like the hope or the optimism or the spirit of inspiration serve us much, much more than anything we may materially gain out of any given situation. Because the promise maybe of something can lead you to other things. It can lead to many other doors opening within oneself rather than just the tangible, coming into your life right that red hot minute.
I like that. When you said about, I didn't notice that, but the latter ends right there. And it's
Exactly.
almost like it's saying you can strive as for something, as hard as you want, but if the pathway isn't secure to really getting there, you're not necessarily going to get it. And maybe you'll never get it if it's something like a jewel or money or something like that. Maybe you'll never get it in the sense that no matter how much you get, it won't be enough. Because when you look at all these rich people, billionaires, I think Warren Buffett is going to be trading stocks on his deathbed. I mean, some of these people are pretty loony when they get all that money trying to take care of it. So I wouldn't.
I think you're right, Brent. It's because it is coming from a higher plane, right? It's not a material gift necessarily. It's more like it's coming from a higher plane, right? And
it looks like that,
yeah, the person's climbing the ladder. Yeah, it's not like gems found in the rocks. This is a gem coming from above, right? So
yes, but everything comes from above in the sense that all things materialize out of some kind of creative process, maybe. And so even though it may appear, see, we're looking at that card and we're seeing what we're seeing in this minute. And we're interpreting what's going on, and already I'm all over the map with it because of what Alexandria said and what I think and what you're saying, and it's like you could take it either way. I mean, yeah, you could take it as okay, it's something coming down from above, but it is a material object. There's not a heart in those hands. There's a gem in those hands. So it part of it's up to it's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yes, but when I look at that gem, right, I think first of all, I look at it as a crystal, and I look at crystals as giving off a lot of energy, and you can see that energy coming off of it. And it's almost as if they're saying, like raise your energy field or, expand your energy in some way.
Why don't we ask Alexandria to tell us what the card is supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Before we do that, can I just take a shot at it as a?
Yeah,
of course.
So I see something similar to what Alexandria saw, but quite different from what the rest of you see. I see a soul striving to get somewhere, to advance, climbing a ladder, and she's worked to get way up there. These other things that she's climbing on are basically dead meat. They're no counts. And she's really getting close. And then down from heaven comes this pair of hands holding this holy object. which symbolizes something. But what I think it symbolizes is help. Because you see, there's a gap between heaven and the top of the ladder. So she has to take some other technique to get beyond where she's going to be. So we don't know what that is. But if we look at this card, we get a clue. It's something from above, not from below.
Yes.
It's something that she can't do. She just has to ask for help. Can I please come in? And then this is a moment when she's asked that question. She knows she's getting close, but she needs help, and there's the help coming down.
Hmm.
So now the Orthodox, the real
Help is on the way.
Okay, Alexandria?
Okay, so in terms of the scriptural, to put it in one way, meaning of this card, the Ace of Pentacles, this is connected. So we have as I was saying earlier about the different elements. So we have the 4 elements within the tarot. The fire element, which is kind of embodied, symbolized by the wand. The air element, which is intellect, symbolized by the sword. The emotion, water element, symbolized by the chalice or the cup. And then we have the element in question here, which is earth element, material, symbolized by the coin, pentacle, stone, crystal, so on and so forth. Different decks have different designations for it. But if we think about why does, now the earth element, I would really like to emphasize, pentacles represent earth element. So a lot of people just think of it as money, especially because it's signified by the disc or by a coin. But if you think about it in a different way, the disc, we have the tectonic discs of the earth, right? Of the planet that we're living on itself. So I like to think of it more in that way. Pentacles really is significant of material manifestations. Material also includes your body, doesn't it? Where the embodiment of the elements includes your health, okay, includes your tangible reality. So the realm of the tangible material, not just money or finance. The ace in any of the 4 suits is an unrefined, pure energy. So there's nothing really much that has come of it. It means that this energy is just newly emerged. It is pure potential. It's neither negative nor positive, nor even neutral. It is devoid of the characteristic. It is the pure, unbridled element. So in the example of the wands, you know, it's like untamed fire. This is unrefined earth. So to add my knowledge to my interpretation of this a little bit, it's like, okay, this person is climbing up, but he doesn't have its insight, as I said, but not within grasp. So he has not done anything with it yet. It's within his sight. He can see that it's there. He can behold it. And he's, whatever's going through his mind is going through his mind, you know? But he's not been able to do anything with it yet. He's not been able to manifest it or increase it or decrease it. It is simply there. And what he has to do with it is to be, you know, to be determined. So that's the meaning of this card.
So he hasn't manifested yet. He has work to do, kind of thing.
Correct. Yes, around it. Yes, around it. Because if somebody gives you like a money, or if there's money that appears before you, or an opportunity, let's say, right? The opportunity maybe presents itself, but the results have not come yet. There may be opportunity to get a job. There may be opportunity to go to a certain school or to get into a certain relationship, but it has not materialized that. But the opportunity, right? What you do with the opportunity, now it's presented itself. But the question is, how are you going to take it? What direction are you going to take it in?
So then you would read this card if somebody had picked this card, you would read it as there's something going on that you kind of want, but you haven't, you're not there yet. You're thinking about it. you're going over it, but it's not quite realized yet. That's kind of the way it is a lot of the time with people, isn't it? I mean, we're all kind of there like a lot of the time.
Mm, indeed, indeed. If this came up as it's as an active reader myself, honestly, Brent, it's difficult for me to say like that, just because my interpretation, it really depends on the person. It depends on my knowledge of their situation. It depends what they are approaching me with, what is the querent coming to the table with, so to speak, right? And also, if it's a single card, that's one thing. If they ask to draw only one card and this comes up, that's one way of reading it. If it comes up in spread, like with multiple cards, then I have to look at what's surrounding. But just on the basis of this card, it's like a new opportunity. There's a new opportunity of prosperity, perhaps a new door that has opened up. There are avenues that maybe you have not yet that are presenting themselves to you. Like, you know, the door is there, but you have not opened it, right? The ladder is there, but maybe you're just starting to climb up it. The thing has presented itself, the prize has presented itself, but it's not quite in your possession yet, like that.
So if you're not done with whatever it is, then this card applies to you.
Mhm.
It applies to everyone. And I mean, if you've got something in mind you want to accomplish and you're not done, this card applies to you, right?
Like a spark of an idea or a certain
Well,
goal?
we're
The potential, like, yeah, the potential's there, the energy's there.
I mean,
This
could
has-
anybody here say that this card does not apply to them right at the moment? I mean, there's something in all of us that would wants more fulfillment in whatever way, you know. So I see this as a generalized card that just would probably fit just about anybody.
You definitely could say that. I mean, it definitely, for me, it definitely doesn't have to do with a feeling of unfulfillment or unrealized potentials. There's more specific cards in other suits that point to those particular situation and energy. But definitely that's one other way of looking at it. Like, as I said, any ace card really has to do with the pure potentiality of you know, that element, that energy. So it's really, it's yes.
And the would you interpret these faces as ancestors, Alexandria, or would you say it's the person's support through family and friends, period, like the people around them?
This one, it's very curious because their eyes are closed. Their eyes are closed, and this is not even like it's like sometimes, you know, people say, oh, I see all kinds of things in the clouds. I see a rabbit, I see whatever, I see cats, I see plants, I see the face of my long lost whatever, right? But to another person, or it's like the ink blots, which you can be shown sometimes in the psychiatrist's office. So really, maybe to another person, oh, it's a rock formation. We can see it as the face, but their eyes are closed. Their faces are not even real faces in some way. It's just rock formations. So I think, I don't know, perhaps there's something of, I would say in a way transcending the past, coming up, because you see, it's quite, because if they're ancestors, like you're climbing on top of your ancestors, kind of like dancing on somebody's grave or standing on somebody's tombstone almost. So for me, I don't see the scaling up on the ladder, which is pressed against their faces on these heaps and heaps of faces, as really an act of reverence, but in a way kind of like almost climbing up or transcending the past and coming up your past, leaving your past behind, or even using the past difficulties to push through or to get through what has been holding you back to your goal.
Wow.
Yeah, someone else might even interpret that as being, well, buddy, you walk up the wrong ladder. You're not going to be able to get what you want. So you blew it again, guy. Now go back and start afresh and do something new. I think this is wonderful that you can do this, because wherever anyone's at, they're going to look at this and they're going to come up with a story that's reflective of what they're dealing with in their life at that moment. And it doesn't make any difference, you know, what the story is at all. It's just whatever it is that's happening that's real to you, you're going to get an image of that. Play with these cards and you will always be getting images of what's going on inside you. I think that's
Absolutely.
great. It's great.
Any more comments? Kelly, Faith?
It looks like somebody is climbing up to heaven. Maybe that's it. That's their interpretation of heaven. That's what it looks like to me.
Okay.
That she's going towards enlightenment, and the people that she's trying to escape from are sleeping, still asleep. She's awake, but and so she's wanting to go higher into her awakening.
Mhm.
Kelly, Bob, anything else? Kenny? Okay.
I think we're onto something when we realize that we let this image go into our mind, and then each of us has a different interpretation of it based on what's in that mind.
Okay.
The card is what it is, but there's such a difference in the way we're interpreting it, and particularly Alex, who has some background in this, there's an interpretation that's sort of like the official one. But I think if I were going to sit down with somebody and be the reader, I would not want to know what the official one is. I'd be really interested in what their personal one is. Like Kelly, she thinks this is the stairway to heaven, so to speak. Well, you know, that rings my bell too. And there's obstacles on the way, and there's a big gap right coming up next. So how are we going to? So anyway, we all interpret them according to our own inner world.
And you bring up an interesting thing about what it's supposed to mean and what's the official version of it. Well, that's just someone else's opinion, isn't
Exactly.
it? One that's carried over. For example, I mean, you could look at the Catholic Church, and I'm not belittling the Catholic Church, but I'm saying that's one way of approaching God. And that's an official way, and so people will go that way because it's supposedly the official way, even though they may not like it, right? So I think the best thing I've gotten out of this so far is that whatever you get when you look at one of these pictures is what's going on, and that's what's important, not somebody else's interpretation of the picture, but what you see in it, because wherever you're at, your brain is going to look at that picture and it's going to find correlations between that picture and whatever your experience is right in this moment, what your life been like. And so you'll interpret those people as being asleep, or you'll interpret those people as you know, elders helping you along your path. You know, I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at it, but it's all pertaining to like who's looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I think what Alexandria was getting at too is that, you know, when there's a client, we investigate why the person has come to us, right? If we're doing the reading. And so that kind of helps as they're drawing the cards, right? So we can get a sense of where they're at. And also it's usually more than just one card, right? There's other cards into play. But, you know, I agree that, you know, when we're looking at a card in this way, right, it's, you know, we can have different interpretations of it. I think what I'd like to do now, Brent, if you're ready, like, are you going to do a share? Is that what you want to do?
You know, there's a couple of cards that I couldn't find the whole deck, and so I've got some cards from the deck, and I would like to show those in a couple of ones specifically.